Welcome to the Weather Guru's live update about Major Hurricane Beryl bearing down on Kingston, Jamaica, and all of Jamaica. This is the 11 a.m. update for Hurricane Beryl bearing down on Jamaica. Now, there is some good news, bad news. We're going to get into the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that. Thank you for joining me once again on this stream, live streaming here with Hurricane Beryl. As of the 11 a.m. update, the winds have come down to 145 miles an hour in that central northeastern core. The eye has filled in here, and it's still there, but it's clouded over with central dense overcast. Beryl is weakening. That is the good news. The pressure has come up a little bit, not a lot, to 952 millibars, and the winds and the movement has slowed down slightly to 18 miles an hour, west northwest, 18 miles an hour. It's fighting a headwind. It's fighting dry air, wind shear. The good news is that the center of the storm looks like it might wobble to the south of Jamaica. However, that still puts the bad news is that it still puts the northeastern quadrant right on shore, the northern eye wall right on shore for those points eastern Jamaica and all the way through Kingston and the southern areas of Jamaica. All of Jamaica will be impacted by hurricane force winds. That is a certainty as the system progresses in time. And like I said, the worst of it will be starting in about another hour and a half, so 1:30 to 2 o'clock, and that will continue throughout the day Wednesday, all the way through. It's going to take some time to traverse the complete island of Jamaica. It's going to take all day Wednesday, basically. So the worst of it will be from about 2:30 all the way lasting through about after sunset. So you're looking at about 9 p.m., 9:30, 10 o'clock when things will definitely begin to improve, but tropical storm conditions will linger through the night. And will finally be all said and done with Jamaica. Everything will be done by Thursday morning, and that will be Cayman Islands. Obviously, we'll have a later time frame, Little Cayman and Big Cayman. So that's what we have. I want to get into also the forecast track. Has been pretty certain with the storm continuing on towards the Yucatan Peninsula. Whatever's left of it after it passes, it could be a Category 2, a Category 1. It depends on its interaction with the land, with Jamaica. Obviously, the Blue Mountains over 7,000 feet. If the storm goes over more close to the coast and that northern eye wall interacts with those mountains, the circulation is going to be somewhat disrupted. It's going to continue to weaken. We also had that shear that's continuing to impact the storm organization. As you can see on the eastern side here, this convection here over Haiti has grown, pulsed up, and then it died down. There is some dry air entrainment on the eastern side as well, which is interesting. And the western side is completely eroded here. Nevertheless, tropical storm force winds extend out 185 miles from the center. Hurricane force winds extend out 45 miles from the center, and that's been pretty consistent throughout the life of Hurricane Beryl, Major Hurricane Beryl, as it continues to make its motion here. So I just want to give you an update also on it's only about 75 miles or 125 kilometers southeast of Kingston, Jamaica, or about 365 miles, 590 kilometers southeast of Grand Cayman Islands. Once again, the maximum sustained winds at 145 miles an hour. Pressure has come up 1 millibar to 954 millibars. 954 millibars or 28.17 inches of mercury. Still a very dangerous storm. It will pass by Jamaica today as a major hurricane, Cat 3 or above. The next intermediate advisory comes out at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And also the full advisory will come out at 5 p.m. So we have all the watches and warnings in effect. I want to show you if there's any new watches and warnings here in place. And so far, the only upgrades we have is the Yucatan Peninsula has been upgraded to a hurricane warning for Tampico, Mexico, south through Quintana Roo and all the districts there. The sparsely populated Yucatan Peninsula. And also we have tropical storm watches extended all the way around the Yucatan Peninsula. And northern Belize is still under a tropical storm watch. Now, the main concerns here, the Dominican Republic has dropped the tropical storm warning as the system has now already passed you. So they've dropped the tropical storm warning for Dominican Republic. But Haiti, denoted in blue here, is still under a tropical storm warning for that strong eastern feeder band side. As you can see on the satellite, that's hitting Haiti with heavy rain, and that could cause some flooding concerns for the streets, creeks, rivers, and streams a little bit on the peninsula there. So that's what's happening there. Now back to Jamaica. Right now, you are about, let's say, the hurricane force winds denoted in red here, like I said, extend about 45 miles out from the center. This is what's going to be coming on shore to the eastern parishes of Jamaica, I would say in about the next hour and a half. So from about 1:30, from about 2:30 to about 8:30, 9 p.m. is going to be the worst of it for Jamaica as this core of the system comes very close to the coast. So this is what we're looking at. We're either looking at a partial landfall of the northern eye wall, which has about an 80, I would say right now, an 85% chance of happening. A full landfall is also possible, but right now that doesn't look to be possible according to a lot of analysts, and they believe it's going to miss Jamaica to the south, either by some less than 50 nautical miles off the coast. And so we don't know if we're going to get an official landfall yet. Like I said, the northern eye wall is going to come ashore, but we need the complete eye to be onshore Jamaica, to be considered an official quote-unquote landfall. So it remains yet to be seen. But right now it's only 85 miles east-southeast of Kingston, and it is bearing in onto the coastline very shortly here. So conditions are going to be rapidly going downhill in the next from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. or 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. And then those hurricane force winds will come in, provide their shot, probably about be last hurricane force winds will last maybe 5-6 hours, and then things will subside back to tropical storm conditions. And we have to watch out for the flooding, the landslides, the other things that are going to be affecting power outages and things of those nature. So we look at the warnings and surface wind here. Once again, you can see that half of Jamaica right now is in that tropical storm force wind field right now. They should be getting some showers and some light breezes and some gusts and things up the tropical storm force winds, up the tropical storm conditions right now. The hurricane winds will be arriving sometime between 2:30 and up, could last all the way to about 7 or 8:30, just after nightfall, as the system is sort of slowing down. It's moving west-northwest at 18. It's still a fast clip, so it's going to take some time either way to traverse the whole of Jamaica, all the way from the eastern side all the way back toward Montego Bay, Falmouth, all that, everywhere. So hurricane force winds will be felt across the entire island, but the eastern tip is going to start getting it, like I said, in the next hour or so. So you might, the far eastern tip of Jamaica is going to get it probably starting in the next hour, 1:30, and then 2:30. By 2:30, that will progress west from east to west all the way through the whole entire island. And so that'll be the worst of it going there. Now, after that, we'll just be back to tropical storm conditions, which are still very dangerous, and flooding rains, mudslides, and we'll just have to wait and see how far south, or if the eye comes completely on land and we have a landfall on Jamaica. And that'll be as a category 4 storm, because the storm right now has winds in excess, and maximum state winds still at 145. And so even if it drops 10 miles an hour, 135, let's just say, for instance, I'm hypothetically saying, that's still within a category 4, a low end category 4 type of situation. That's still major hurricane. So you see my point. Now you see the northern eye wall, you see the high white cloud tops there, and some purple there, very cold cloud tops here, but you can see the convection now is sort of lopsided here. We've got dry air entrainment, we've got wind shear, we've got a bunch of factors here, and the hurricane is doing an excellent job of fighting all of that off, all these conflicting factors off, and that's because we have a high heat content here. The water here is above 86 degrees, 29 degrees Celsius, and that's what's allowing to take advantage of that right under the coast. So it's in the sweet spot, but it's also fighting wind shear, dry air entrainment, and just the overall structures. The inflow has been disrupted tremendously, or I should say the outflow has been disrupted tremendously by the mid and upper level wind shear and dry air entrainment. And so now once it comes off Jamaica, the shape that it's this is good news for Cayman Islands too as well, because if it comes off Jamaica even weaker, let's say it comes off Jamaica later on tonight at the 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. advisory, or midnight advisory, or 11 p.m. advisory as a weaker system, that means the Cayman Islands, you could be dealing with mostly tropical storm conditions. Just looking at the wind field here, it's possible that Grand Cayman, the Big Island, they will get hurricane force gusts and possibly storm surge up to 2 to 4 feet of water level rise, but it wouldn't be as significant as if it came directly, if it missed Jamaica and went south like this, and the eye stayed off Jamaica's coast and allowed it to continue strengthening on its way to Cayman. So that's a blessing. Now, looking at other things here, you can see that we have posted watches and warnings up here. Now, for those of you wondering about the United States interest, or if it's going to hit the United States, or any part of Texas or anything like that, it is a little too early to tell here. Now, we do know that it is going to move into the Bay of Campeche. How strong it gets, right now they have it forecast to become a minimum Category 1 hurricane on its way to somewhere between northern Mexico and not the Galveston, but the Victoria, Corpus Christi area, possibly, okay? But all of this is subject to change. It depends on what condition the hurricane is on Thursday morning after it leaves Jamaica and the Cayman Islands once again. And so that's what we're dealing with right now. But for right now, our immediate concern is for Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. So it's going to start right now. You guys are getting rain, light to moderate rain, maybe some claps of thunder, maybe sustained winds right now may only be 20 or 30 miles an hour with gusts to 50 right now, but it's not too terrible right now. But in another hour or two, conditions are going to go rapidly downhill, and you will be in the sustained tropical storm force winds, and then the hurricane force winds are coming about, like I said, around 2:30, 3 o'clock, and it's going to last till about close to sunset as the system traverses the island. Either just underneath the northern eye wall will traverse the island completely, and the rest of the system, the southern eye wall and all that, stays offshore. That's kind of like a partial landfall, or we might get a full landfall if Hurricane Beryl wobbles to the east or northeast just a little bit more. All of the system will be on top of Jamaica, and it'll go straight through and on its way to Cayman. So that's what we're looking at, and that's what the forecasters are looking at too as well. Another thing to note too is that you notice on the southern side here, there's the southeastern quadrant here, there is some convection here, but it's not necessarily wrapping around the center here. So you see there's also shear on both sides of the system here. There's some kind of northeasterly shear at the mid-level or low level blowing across like this, and we also have that westerly shear coming across the Caribbean like that. So it's getting shear or some kind of interaction on both sides, which I find very interesting here. You have this trailing line of convection here. You notice that right there. You see it blowing up right there, but it's not necessarily wrapping around the center. It's kind of disjointed, right? And then you also have these gaps in the feeder bands here, which lets you know, denotes that there's some kind of dry air interruption in some of the coldest or cloudest highest cloud tops, so to speak. So that's an interesting feature that I just wanted to point out. And then you also notice these fanning out here, right here, this explosion of convection over Haiti and the Haiti mountains here, that's kind of fanning out away from. That's that wind shear that they've been talking about at the upper levels, that moderate wind shear. And also we have, so they're getting wind shear from both sides, and you're also getting a system that's going to be pulling very fast. The good news is that the system is still moving above 15 miles an hour west northwest at 18 miles an hour, excuse me. And so that's good news for Jamaica. Good news for Cayman is that it's a quick hit. Rainfall totals, let's go over that. Once again, you get 4 to 8 inches, up to maximum of 12 inches in the mountains of Jamaica. If you're in the valleys and some of the other places in Jamaica, you may be sheltered. That's good news, but just watch out for those elevated creeks, streams, roads that may be covered in water. It may be deeper than you think. Do not try to get out and drive tomorrow that much if you're in those areas. So just watch out for that. Now, if you're in the eastern side of Jamaica and the southeastern side of Jamaica, if the storm surge comes in like they're predicting, 4 to 8 feet or 4 to 9 feet or something like that, it will definitely inundate coastal areas, and so that won't recede until after the worst of the hurricane has passed to your northwest and is exited out toward Negril or Montego Bay, Falmouth, and all of that. That'll take a couple of hours. So after sunset tonight, that's when things will still be under tropical storm conditions, obviously, but you won't be under the deep hurricane force winds above 74 miles an hour at that time. So that's what we're looking at here. Everyone stay safe. I'm glad everyone is prepared. This system is going to continue to impact the area and the region, and there'll be more updates at 5 p.m. and that's the update that will show that the system will probably be moving almost to the middle of Jamaica, past Kingston. The center should be located somewhere past to the west of Kingston by then, as it traverses the island of Jamaica as a major hurricane. Is it possible that we can expect in those northern eye wall here, is it possible that we can expect stronger winds than what they've shown here? It's possible. Nothing's out of the question. Sometimes they spin off mini vortices or tornadoes or water spouts. That is possible too as well. We won't know that until after the system has actually gotten a little bit closer to making a possible landfall or partial landfall of just the northern eye wall and the southern part stays offshore, or the whole system comes onshore and it makes a complete landfall, and then we'll know what we're dealing with, obviously in terms of the storm surge and obviously in terms of the tornadic activity or not that may be present. Not too much lightning in the eye too as well, since the eye has collapsed and as the cloud tops have sort of warmed in that area. The northern eye wall is still cold, obviously, but the eye itself has sort of warmed over the last couple of frames. So we'll see what happens with that, ladies and gentlemen. But the bottom line is that the storm is weakening, but it's still moving at a fast clip, and it's still a major hurricane, a dangerous major hurricane at that. So the next advisory, they could peg it down to 140 or 135, but at the same time, it depends on the pressure. The pressure is still at 952, 953, then that would support still a surface level of 140 miles an hour, Cat 4, mid-grade category 4 system, 145 miles an hour. So that's what we have here. I just want to bring you a quick update. I want to show you the Jamaica radar here too. You can see that the rain here is coming through Port Antonio and Spanish Town and Jeffreytown right now. And Kingston and the Bay here is being protected. It's just now starting, the reds and deep oranges are just now starting to have more heavy, steadier rain coming into Alligator Pond now, Spanish Town, Falmouth, Montego Bay, and Betheltown. You may not be getting sprinkles, light rain, nothing really fancy right now. That will change in the next hour here for you guys. But you can see how close the system is to it now. Looking at the Jamaica weather radar, excuse me, you can see how close it is now. The eye is out here, so it's less than 100 miles away, southeast of Kingston. It's 80 miles, about 80 miles or so. Southeast of Kingston, and you can see it on the radar right here. So all of this northern eye wall is approaching the eastern 2/3 of the island here, and that's where we say that the storm surge and everything is still on its way, and the high winds and hurricane force winds in that northern eye wall will be impacting you sometime between 2:30 all the way through sunset. And that's going to spread all the way through Albertown, Montego Bay, Falmouth, all these western parishes as well, later on in the day, or later on in the afternoon and evening. And so Mandeville, you're starting to get some rain down there as well. And down the north-south highway and the east-west highway here, as you can see here, it's just now starting to impact. So the worst of it, though, right now, as far as the tropical storm force winds and things of that nature, is going to be from Port Antonio eastward along that road and heading back toward the capital of Kingston. That's where they're expecting that northern eye wall that's just offshore here, about 75 miles right now offshore. It'll be pushing in later on, 2:30, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. That's when the worst of it, as far as the northern eye wall, is going to make its initial impact and bring those hurricane force winds into Jamaica and surrounding areas here as we look at it. And all the points from Lucia all the way over, you guys in Lucia and Montego Bay, you'll get it later on. Your worst will be later on in the afternoon, say about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock for the hurricane force winds, as the system has got to traverse the whole island or just below the whole island of Jamaica. And not to mention the mountains and the interaction with that, the northern eye wall has to get over those mountains, and that may disrupt the outflow as well here, ladies and gentlemen. And that can also help to weaken this system down to a category 3, possibly as it exits Jamaica later on tonight. But we won't know that until after it interacts with, what kind of interaction it's going to have, until after it gets just a little bit more closer to the actual landmass areas of Jamaica here. So just want to give you the update. Continue to stay safe, be prepared. Everybody's and this whole area is in our prayers, from Jamaica to Cayman to even the Yucatan and future areas that could be impacted. And that's all the update that I have for you at this time. So I'll be back on later this afternoon if anything changes or if there's any major updates. But this is the main thing right now. It's nearing landfall and approaching northern eye wall is nearing landfall in about maybe 2 more hours here. It should be in the thick of things as far as the hurricane force winds here, according to this map here. As the red is just now getting close now to the eastern tip of Jamaica. Okay, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Checking in from Manchester. Hey, Liam Boy, thank you for checking in. I hope everything is well out there in Manchester, Jamaica. It should be just showers right now and a few gusty winds, as you guys have just now starting to get into the tropical storm conditions here for the eastern 2/3 of the island. And then I expect the tropical storm conditions to be fully complete at 1:30. Everybody should be, by 1:30, everybody should be under tropical storm conditions, wind force, either sustained or gusting. And then by 2:30, hurricane force winds will extend into the eastern tip of Jamaica, and then from there we'll see how it progresses. And the worst of it, like again, will be from about 2:30 all the way through sunset tonight, and then it should subside just to have tropical storm force winds until it can pull away towards the Cayman Islands for their rendezvous with the Major Hurricane Beryl today. So blessings, and I'll come back a little bit later tonight. at the 5 p.m. advisory, and we'll talk more about it. It should be weaker. We don't know, but it's not going to weaken that much. So it may only go down to 135 or 130. Still a Cat 3 or borderline Cat 4. And then we'll see how much the structure changes. The internal structure of Beryl changes with all of this wind shear and all of this other things that's got going on right now. And the eye is clouded over too as well. So we'll see what happens and what the Hurricane Center decides. But it's still going to be a major hurricane hitting Jamaica, or making landfall or not making landfall, however they decide, a partial landfall, if you will. And then we'll decide. And also another thing too is, if it does make landfall, the Hurricane Center will give you hourly updates every hour, and that may change too. That may come on sooner if it does indeed make a full landfall, but we just have to wait and see in the next hour or two what happens with the core of the system. Still 85 miles, or about closing in on 80 miles southeast of Kingston, Jamaica. Okay, I'll see you soon, guys. This is the Weather Guru signed off. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest updates, and we'll be back with you guys shortly. Thank you.